So we're going to explore the animal data set in order to kind of better understand data science and it'll start us out in our coding as well. So the goal about data science is using a smaller sample of data to make predictions about a larger population. So this table that we're looking at, the animal data set, isn't for every animal in the world, but if we took the average age of the animals at this particular shelter, it might tell us something about the average age of animals in other shelters. And so that's why it's important when we think about the different questions that we can come up. There's four different categories I want us to think about. The first is a lookup question. So these can be answered simply by looking up a single value in the table and reading out loud. Once you find the value, you're done. A compute question. This could be answered by computing an answer across a single row or column. A relate question. These one takes the most work because they require looking for relationships between multiple columns and can't answer. These are questions that just can't be answered based on the available data. So we're going to look at the animal data set and we're going to think about what are the four different kind of questions we can think of when we look this up, right? That's going to be one of your assignments. So you're going to look at the animal data set. What's an example of a lookup question? Something quick that you can look up, just looking at the animal data set. What's a compute question? Something where you're going to have to look at the quantitative data, the numbers, in order to get the answer. What is a relate question? And when you think of relate, think of relationships. What is the relationships in the data set that we could use and hopefully tell other, animal shelters. And of course, lastly, the can't answer. Can you think of a question that you can't answer from this data set? Now, let's kind of break down how to look at data sets. We look at them with columns and rows, all right? So a row in a data set is if you think about it, it's just one of the animals, right? So we have an animal here named Sasha. It's a cat. It's a she. She's a female. She's 1 year old. She's not fixed, meaning that she can have babies. She has 4 legs. She weighs 6.5 pounds. And it took her 3 weeks to get adopted. All right? So we have here, how did I know all this information about Sasha, is I have a header row, right? The header row is the first row, and it tells me the variables for a data type, for each data row, right? And something that I also, so really quickly, a variable, we're going to use the term variable a lot, and it's just any kind of defining characteristics. So for example, and you can get it all from the header row, right? So the name, the species, the sex, the age, if it's fixed or not, legs, pounds, and weeks are all variables for animals in the shelter, okay? Now, it's important that we understand we have what's called the header row, right, which tells us exactly the data, the data about each species, not each species, but each animal in the shelter. Then we have what's called the identifier column, which is like a unique identifier. It happens in the first column. For you guys, for example, your unique identifier for IEC is not your name. It's actually your OSIS number, your school ID. That is unique. You're the only person in the entire Department of Education of New York City that has this number. So in the animal data set, if we look at it, right, the name is the identifier. In this data set, the animals have unique names, okay? But look, the next column, right, we have, multiple cats. We have multiple dogs. And this is only a snapshot. I believe there's more than one rabbit. Same thing with gender, right? There's a female. There's multiple males as well. There's actually only one hermaphrodite, right? But the thing that's unique about these is, right, the name are all unique. There's not more than one Sasha, okay? So what I want you to think about is look at the animal data set, look at the variables, come up with the 4 questions, and then you're done.